Evangeline, a 700-year-old vampire. She inevitably outlives her friends and loved ones, adopts the name Hime, and becomes a teacher in a rural village. Toho and his friends conduct a surprise attack against Hime, but she easily fends them off with a magical force field. Toho and his friends are punished as a result. Only those who are able to defeat Hime in a fight are allowed to leave the village, and Toho and his friends will stop at nothing to accomplish this goal. Later, Tachibana, another teacher, suggests that she might be treating the kids too harshly. On the way home, Toho and his friends reaffirm their desire to visit the capital and climb the Pillar of Heaven. Toho visits the graves of his family, including his grandfather, Nady Springfield, who all died in a car accident 2 years ago. The accident also caused Toho to suffer from amnesia, making him unable to remember details about his family. Hime, who pulled him out of the wreckage, ended up adopting him. Next day, Toho sees a vision of his grandfather, Negi, who says he will be waiting at the top of the Pillar of Heaven. Later that evening, Toho begs Hime to teach him magic, but she refuses and forces him to continue his routine exercise. Following another failed attack on Hime, Tachibana gives the boys magical devices that will even the playing field. Unfortunately, Toho has no talent for magic, so Tachibana instead gives him a bracelet for Hime. Toho bashfully leaves it behind for her, and she accepts it. The following afternoon, Hime is attacked by Toho's friends, and she commends them for it. Suddenly, Tachibana appears and knocks them out, revealing himself as a bounty hunter targeting the 600 million yen bounty on Hime's head. She tries to defend herself, but the bracelet Toho gave her nullifies her magic. Suddenly, Toho arrives at the 11th hour and rushes Tachibana. However, his arm is chopped off, but before he can be killed outright, Hime fights through the effects of her restraints through sheer force of will to defend him. She commends Toho's impressive attack, and she gives him her permission to leave the village. To his horror, Tachibana cleaves Hime into bits and pieces, before stabbing Toho himself. Tachibana walks over to kill the other students. Hime reveals to Toho that when she saved him from the wreckage 2 years ago, she turned him into a monster. He now has two choices: to die as a human or to become a monster and save his friends. Toho drinks Hime's blood, blessing him with all the powers of a vampire. He viciously attacks Tachibana, and during the course of the battle, his arms regenerate thanks to his new healing factor. He uses his new punch people in the face factor, which sends Tachibana flying into a truck. Exhausted from the battle, he collapses. When he reawakens, he is relieved to see that Hime is safe and sound. She reveals that she is a vampire and that the attack on his parents 2 years ago was not an accident. His parents begged her to save his life, which prompted her to give him her curse of immortality. Toho is delighted to be immortal, even though Hime warns him he might change his mind eventually. He remarks that if he ends up hating it, he'll at least be able to spend eternity with her. A few days later, Hime and Toho leave the village and head to the capital, New Tokyo. His friends bid him goodbye and promise to meet him again. Toho and Hime begin their long journey to New Tokyo, careful not to alert their presence to any bounty hunters in the area. Toho still seems rather easygoing about his newfound immortality, and Hime has to hammer in the reality that he is now trapped in his 14-year-old body forever. He runs off to bathe at a nearby river, where he ends up clapping some cheeks, literally. The girl attacks Toho, and when he catches a glimpse of her down there, it turns out that the girl is a boy. After clearing up the misunderstanding, the boy introduces himself as Kuro, who hails from the Great Pillar of Heaven. He explains that he is currently on a quest to vanquish a vampire known as the Dark Evangel. A few moments later, Hime, whom Kuro recognizes as Dark Evangel, returns. She also realizes that Toho is a vampire. Kuro's attack is effortlessly caught in between Hime's fingertips, and she, too, recognizes him as a practitioner of the vampire-slaying clan. Hime unceremoniously thrusts her hand through his chest, but when the wound heals on its own, Kuro is also revealed to be an immortal. Toho takes this opportunity to check if Kuro has something down there, which wakes Kuro up. Kuro, at risk of being exiled from the clan, must hunt down Hime at all costs. However, Hime is only willing to fight him if he can defeat Toho. Toho agrees to fight on one condition, that the winner be allowed to ask one thing of the loser. Kuro agrees, and he conjures a sword for him to use. The battle is a short one. Kuro's style is swift and graceful, while Toho's style is largely wild and carefree. Kuro also acknowledges that Toho's battle sense is impressive. Toho's head is sliced off, but he grabs it, reattaches it to his neck, and sends Kuro to the pavement with a single punch. Kuro asks to be killed, but Toho has only one request, that Kuro be his friend. Later, they visit a local onsen where Toho is suspicious of whether or not Kuro is truly a boy. When he asks for some proof, Kuro throws a stool toward his head. When it is clear that Kuro's clan has ostracized him completely, Toa suggests that he come with him and Hime instead. Kuro nearly accepts his offer, but he reminds himself that the two are sworn enemies. Instead, Toa suggests that they peep on Hime in the bath, not because he wants to see her body, but because it means he gets to climb the big rock. Toa climbs up with astonishing speed, only to find a familiar little girl. She takes a pill and turns into Hime, who explains that the little girl is her true form, and that she uses magic to conceal her true appearance. She offers to show Toa a little more, but after finding out that Hime is actually a washboard loli, he suddenly isn't interested anymore. In retaliation, she unleashes a flurry of ice-based spells, which alarms Kuro. Toa is thrown off the cliff, but Kuro rescues him and throws him back to the top, allowing him to snatch Hime's towel. As a prize, Hime offers to show him everything, but he turns her down again, since he isn't into older women either. What the hell does he want then? Hime starts drowning Toa in the water. Kuro is amused by how they act around each other, and when Toa extends an invitation for him to join them, he accepts. They resume their journey, and Toa comes up with the idea to gather immortals from all over and form a team. Hime can't help but laugh. Suddenly, dozens of limousines speed toward them, and a red carpet is rolled out. She reveals that she has already established a team of immortals, the Yuki holders. The Yuki holders sail back to base, and Toa is thrilled. Hime tries to tell Karen, who is openly hostile toward Toa, to get along with him. They eventually arrive at their destination. Toa wonders if everyone here is a vampire like him, but he is told that there is a wide variety of immortals. Two Yuki holders, Jenguru and Iku, introduce themselves. Toa and Kuro must clear a small entrance test. Kuro must face Jenguru, while Toa battles Karen. They must, within 7 days, land at least one hit. Toa attacks Karen without warning, but he is soundly beaten. Kuro, too, is widely outmatched by Jenguru. Later, Toa mutters that he'll resort to attacking Karen in the bath if he has to. When Shinobu, a maid, trips while carrying some garbage, Toa and Kuro help her. They learn that she is a regular human who ended up working at the Yuki Holders Inn. Toa and Kuro end up volunteering to help her with her work. While searching for the storage room, Toa hears a voice calling out his name. He and Kuro follow it into a strange, underground secret base. Here, they meet Jinbei, a drunkard and the second-ranked Yuki holder, behind only Hime in terms of strength. He tells Toa of a magic sword named Robo, which is currently embedded in a slab of stone. If he can pull it, it is his. Toa approaches the sword, but it won't budge an inch. A voice tells him to turn the dial, which magically allows him to pick it up. The voice is revealed to be Robo itself, who has grown bored of being stuck in the back end of nowhere. Jinbei demonstrates that Robo is a sword whose weight can be changed at will. He changes it to 1,000 times its normal weight and throws it at Toa, but it ends up severing his arm. Jinbei agrees to train Toa and Kuro, perhaps in time for them to at least land a hit on Jenguru and Kirin. 7 days of grueling training pass. Toa and Kuro emerge from Jinbei's underground base, ready to complete their trial. Kuro challenges Jenguru first, who can tell that her strikes have become stronger and swifter. However, he criticizes that her swordsmanship is too honest, and when she attempts to use underhanded tactics, she leaves herself wide open. Kuro is driven into a corner, but she pulls something out of Toa's playbook. When Jenguru cuts off one of her arms, she uses it as an extension of herself and stabs him in the back. Jenguru loses one of his video game lives, but he commends Kuro for a job well done. He passes. Meanwhile, Toa attacks Karen head-on without any tricks or surprises, but he gets nowhere at first. Toa eventually manages to get the upper hand against Karen, and he succeeds in tripping her. However, before he can inflict a single blow, he hears Shinobu's cries for help and abandons his duel. He rushes to her side and finds her surrounded by monsters. With Karen's help, they successfully rescue Shinobu. After they carry her to safety, Toa increases his sword's weight to 50,000, defeating all monsters in one go. Karen's outfit is damaged in the process, and she chastises him for being so reckless. With the sun setting, Karen considers the damage done to her outfit a hit, and she passes Toa. He tries hugging her out of gratitude, but she smacks him with her hammer. Hime reveals that the monsters somehow escaped from their underground holding cells after a hole inexplicably appeared. As punishment, she sends Toa, Kuro, and Jinbei to deal with the rest of the monsters that escaped. Hime assigns Toa and Kuro their first assignment, to accompany Karen in rescuing some children at a nearby slum area. To Toa's dismay, they make the journey on foot. Karen explains that the various slum areas that have popped up are an eyesore to certain individuals, and it is their job as Yuki holders to defend the unprotected. Toa leaps and lands at their destination, proclaiming that he is here to help. Kasuga, the nun caretaker, points out that he landed on Yuki holder personnel. Kirin calls him an idiot. Toho loses several bouts of arm wrestling challenges, which result in him being in charge of food. However, they are delightfully surprised to learn that Toho is a skilled chef. Kirin suggests that he pursue culinary arts instead, since it's the one thing he's good at. She also advises him to improve his flash step technique so that he can win at arm wrestling, though he doesn't really understand the connection. Toho heads out to the local junkyard to practice his flash step technique, but his sloppiness attracts the attention of Kato, a wandering martial artist. He demonstrates his own flash step technique, which is faster, smoother, and can be used on the air itself. When he sees that Toho appears to have a natural talent for flash step, Kaito offers to train him personally. He instructs Toho to live using nothing but his feet. Over the next few days, Toho gradually improves his dexterity with his feet, using it to cook, clean, and brush his teeth. Ruki, one of the orphans, begins copying him too. At one point, Kuro offers to teach Toho how to flash step instead, but he turns him down, pointing out that he can't always learn from him. Later, Kaito joins two other individuals, Shion, a blind swordsman, and Cheo, a wizard. He then transforms into a fierce white werewolf, and they enter the slums to hunt down some immortals. Toho and Ruki bring some provisions to the UQ holder guards, but as soon as they leave, the guards are killed by strange puppets armed with guns. Meanwhile, while taking a shower, Karen speaks with the nun outside, but she suddenly falls silent. Chao emerges from the floor and attacks Karen, but despite the element of surprise, she manages to fend him off. He explains that he is part of a private mercenary group called Powerful Hand, which exclusively hunts immortals. She smashes him against the mirror, but he fires a few rounds into her mouth and subdues her. She breaks free by launching themselves into the roof, but Chao uses his shadow powers to restrain her again, and he slowly tortures her with his knife. Meanwhile, Toho and Ruki notice that the slums are in flames. They regroup with Kuro, but they are surrounded by Kaito and Shion. Toho has Ruki run away, but Toho is immediately attacked by Kaito, who seals his immortality powers and takes him out of commission immediately. Kuro is forced to fight this battle alone. After using a technique that launches fireworks into the air, he begins a desperate 2-on-1 battle. Kaito quickly grasps that her immortality is simply an enhanced healing factor, so the solution is simple: beat him harder than she can regenerate. Slowly and surely, Kuro is badly beaten and torn to shreds. 3 Yuki holders are now at death's door. Kuro lands right next to Toho, whose body is still trapped within the cross seal. While he isn't looking, Kaito hurls 2 street signs that impale him in place. Before they can finish them off, Ruki bravely stands in their way. Kaito explains to the young Ruki that their clients, who live within the Pillar of Heaven, want this slum vaporized from existence. Kuro finally manages to pry himself free to rescue Ruki, but he isn't the only one who's caught their second wind. To their surprise, Toho, still burning from the cross seal, stands defiantly to face Kaito. Meanwhile, Chao reveals that he knows Kirin's real identity, the Steel Saint, an immortal witch who survived a lynch mob. Her body literally rewrites events so that she always survives any given attack, but it does not remove any associated pain. Chao has developed an unhealthy fascination with Kirin, and he wants to take his sweet time loving her. However, Kirin kicks him in the nuts. Every male on Earth felt that. She managed to break free through her divine might. Her immortality wasn't born out of a curse, but a blessing. She unleashes a flurry of blows that send Chao flying into the bathroom wall, rendering him unconscious. Toho, now armed with a strange set of black gauntlets, easily holds his own against Kaito and Shion. Shion, seeing this, realizes the source of Toho's immortality. Toho holds them both off while Kuro regenerates, just in time for Kirin to join the fray. Toho has deduced Kaito's true identity, causing him to transform into a more human-like state. Toho finds it disappointing that someone of Kaito's skill is going around beating up kids, but Kaito lives for the thrill of battle, and no other job will let him fight monsters like Toho. Toho and Kaito begin a brutal exchange, punch for punch. When it becomes clear that they are evenly matched, Kaito decides to show him the ultimate form of his flash step, which is faster than the speed of sound. He thrusts his arm through Toho's chest. The poor soul didn't even hear it coming. However, a dark energy begins seeping out of Toho, causing Kaito to flinch back. The energy is unmistakable in the eyes of Shion. It is the power of Magia Iriba, a source of immortality so powerful that the price is your very soul. He has only ever observed 2 users of it, one of whom is Hime herself. Toho is now incredibly powerful. He effortlessly hurls, beats, and punches Kaito without any resistance. However, Toho, through sheer force of will, manages to hold back and repress the Magia Iriba, and he reverts to his former self. Kaito admits defeat, but since Toho still wants to continue their battle, Kaido suggests they decide it all with a match of arm wrestling. Kaido imparts to Toh his final lesson, to believe you are the only one on Earth, and to use that confidence to push your speed to its limits. Surprisingly, Toh manages to match Kaido's strength and at one point exceed it. Toh emerges victorious, and he refuses to kill Kaido. Shion jumps down and signals a retreat as they've already come here to do what they were paid to do. However, Hime has arrived, and she uses her massively powerful ice magic to quell the flames raging throughout the city. She lands on the rooftop where the others are, revealing that it was Kuro's fireworks that tipped them off to the danger. Shion draws his blade, cuts open a hole in the fabric of reality, refuses to elaborate further, and leaves. The Yuki holders assist in relief efforts. Toh asks Hime about his Magia Iriba, and she says that it isn't unusual for him to inherit one of her bloodline's powers. Meanwhile, a white-haired man watches Toh and says that he is the one. Kuro carries Robo to Toh, discussing his Magia Iriba and the possibility that Hime was lying. When Robo teases Kuro over his feelings for Toh, he swings the blade around and leaves him in the dirt. He then runs toward the front gate where he spots Toh getting along with Shinobu. Toh rides on Shinobu's scrap bike, which she cobbled together using spare parts. She confides that it is her dream to enter the Solar Race, an annual competition. Later, Kuro showers while struggling with her budding feelings for Toh. However, when Karen enters the room and sees that he has nothing down there, she threatens to evict him from the men's dorms. Kuro decides to come clean about his condition, though he asks Karen to keep it a secret. Kuro reveals that he is from a rare demi-human race who remain genderless until their 16th birthday, when they must choose to become either a man or a woman. Karen suddenly attacks Kuro in hopes of convincing him to choose to become a girl, mostly so that Toh won't grow any closer to Hime. Another one of Yuki holder, Iku, who heard everything, leaps down and suggests a plan. Later, Toh meets a mysterious blonde revealed to be Kuro in disguise. Iku's plan is simple. Kuro should dress up differently, dye her hair blonde, and go on a test date with Toh. Kuro assumes the identity of Kuryu, posing as Kuro's cousin. Kuryu asks Toh to show her around the capital, and he agrees. Toh borrows Shinobu's scrap bike, though they notice a young girl playing in the sand, whom they assume to be another Yuki holder. Toh drives Kuryu speedily toward the capital, and after a small wardrobe mishap, Kuryu's heart starts beating even faster. She asks Toh to be brought to the Pillar of Heaven, not knowing that Cheo, who survived Karen's attack, is hot on their tail. Toh and Kuryu enter the Pillar of Heaven, albeit just on one of the lower viewing levels. Regardless, Toh is thrilled to finally be here. He tells Kuryu about his friends at his old village, and how Kuro is currently his best friend. Kuryu nearly reveals her true identity, but they are suddenly attacked by Chao. He traps Toh in one of his dark voids, while Azura, a 6-armed sword-wielding mercenary, easily crushes Kuryu. For some reason, Kuryu is unable to put any strength into her arms, and she wonders if it is because she is a girl. She attacks the two anyway, but she can sense that her strength and regenerative ability are strangely subpar. As she sinks into Chao's dark void, she realizes that it doesn't matter if she is a boy or a girl. What matters is that she is Toh's partner. She reassumes her identity as Kuro, punches Chao into the sky, and rescues Toh from the dark void. Azura, seeing that the police are on their way, uses this chance to flee. Toh regains consciousness and reunites with Kuro. He exclaims how hot Kuro's cousin was, and how he'd like to marry someone like that. Meanwhile, Iku approaches Kiri, a Yuki holder who seems to be preparing a small candle. She vaguely remarks that a special occasion is about to begin. Toh and Kuro return from their tour of the capital. While Karen wants to hear the juicy details of the date, Kiri asks to speak to Toh in private. Kiri brings him into a secluded alley, where, indignant that she is being treated like a child, she orders Toh to sit and bark. When Toh resists, he leaves them both wide open to an attack from Chao, who slits Kiri's throat. She drops to the floor and bleeds out, but she manages to hang onto Toh's hand before she passes away. Suddenly, the pair find themselves back to earlier in the morning, before Toh left for the capital with Kuro. And Kiri explains to Toh the nature of her power, reset and restart. The sand mounds she creates are save points that are valid for as long as the candle on top of it burns. When she dies, she, along with any person she is touching, is brought back to this save point. The day proceeds as normal, and when they return to the Yuki holder's base, Kiri brings Kuro into the alleyway again. Suddenly, Chao attacks again, but this time, Toh is prepared and she sends him flying with a 100,000 powered sword strike. Kiri can finally reveal that she spotted Fate, an extremely powerful magician who is plotting to kidnap Toh. She recounts that during a playthrough where she had a sit-down with Kuro, To was attacked by fate. Iku, Kirin, and even Kuro were overwhelmed by the onslaught. When fate used his petrification powers on Kiri, she was forced to take her own life to trigger her ability. This is a lot for To to take in, but her explanation was also overheard by Kirin and Iku. Apparently, it is commonplace for immortals not to disclose the exact and minute details of their abilities, so as not to show weakness. To reassures Kiri that they aren't those kinds of people. Kiri reveals that she has a plan, sanctioned by Hime, to capture Fate. The plan is simple. Fate is slated to arrive at the Pillar of Heaven a little after 6 p.m. To will speak to him to throw him off, and Kiri hands To a phone for communication. Kirin and Iku hit him with everything they got. Kuro will then sneak Kiri behind Fate, where she will touch him while taking her own life. Kiri has prepared a special save point in a cave hidden underneath the U-Key holder's base, where Fate will effectively be trapped. Iku is a bit hesitant due to how reckless the plan is, so he has Kiri promise to bring them all with her before she uses her power. She agrees, but asserts that if they take too long to get to her, she'll go ahead of them. They execute their plan, and they lie in wait for Fate to appear. Iku has hooked himself into an orbital laser just in case. To asks why Hime isn't with them, and Kiri explains that Fate would figure them out instantly. A hooded man bumps into To, but before he can react, Kiri warns them all that Fate is approaching. To opens a pre-recorded video message from Hime, who reveals that Fate was once a hero and close comrade of his grandfather Negi. However, after Negi's abrupt death 20 years ago, Fate's personality did a complete 180, and he has now become an enemy of humanity. Fate finally arrives, but To asks for the orbital attack to be called off. His friends from the village are also here. They'll figure something else out as Fate approaches To. To's friends, Nikumaru and Toru, notice him, and they happily reunite. Iku decides to fire the orbital laser anyway, confident that To can protect his friends, but his hand is suddenly chopped off by a mechanical maid. Fate suddenly introduces himself to To as an old friend of Negi. Fate threatens to kill everyone in this room unless To goes with him, but To decides to do his own thing. He readies Robo and suddenly shouts that Fate is a terrorist, causing everyone to look at them. Fate is momentarily distracted, allowing Kirin to kick Nikumaru and Toru to safety. She and To then engage Fate in close quarters, but he defends himself with his barriers. To kicks it up a notch to 500 tons, which shatters Fate's defenses. Kuro brings Kiri, allowing her to latch onto Fate. However, she wastes a precious moment glancing toward Iku and Kuro, leaving her open to Fate's petrification. Realizing that they've lost, Iku signals a retreat. 3 other separate battles erupt. Karen faces Shaba, the battle monk. Kuro has a rematch with Ezura, and Iku has a deadly dance with Tsukuyomi, a vampire-slaying practitioner. All of them make up the White Wings, Fate's organization. All 3 are formidable opponents, and though Karen knows they must retreat, she doesn't know if their enemies will let them. To is left to battle the White Wings' leader, Fate, in a desperate duel. While avoiding Fate's attacks, he receives a call from Kuro, who reports that there is a strange countdown on Kiri. Realizing what it is, he tells everyone to hold out for 1 more minute. To relentlessly attacks Fate, cleverly shifting the weight of Robo at the drop of a hat, which keeps his movements unpredictable. When their battle moves to the sky, To increases the weight of Robo, causing them to crash down, just as Kiri's petrification is cured using an app she developed. Their plan is a resounding success, and there were absolutely 0 hiccups. That's a GG easy if I've ever seen one. Fate is trapped, and angrily confronts Hime, threatening an all-out cataclysmic battle, but he decides against it, knowing that the odds are stacked against him. Instead, he bargains for his freedom in exchange for answering 1 question from each of them. Iku goes first and asks why Fate wants To so badly, and Fate explains that To is necessary to save his grandfather, Negi, along with the 12 billion souls in the galaxy. It appears that the old man isn't dead after all. Kirin asks a question she claims is of paramount importance: who did Negi love more, him or Hime? Fate claims that Negi had no favorites, and even if he did, Fate just doesn't care. Kuro asks if his need for To's cooperation is urgent, but he replies that it might be 20 years before it is. Lastly, To asks Fate if he killed his parents. He confirms that he did. In response, To manifests his Magia Iriba and prepares to beat Fate to a pulp. However, a holographic image of Negi suddenly appears, and it doesn't appear to be a pre-recorded message. Negi tells To not to believe in Fate's words, as they aren't the whole truth. Before he can say more, Hime instructs Kuro to destroy the device on To that is transmitting the message. With this new revelation coming to light, Hime and Fate form an uneasy truce. Something bigger is coming. Kiri is annoyed that Fate was released so easily. but Kuro reassures her that they obtained useful information. To presses Hime for more information about his grandfather, but she locks herself in her room, unable to tell him anything just yet. Meanwhile, an elderly woman named Ayaka and her granddaughter, Mizore, come looking for Hime. To has an afternoon snack with Shinobu, while Kuro and Kiri spy on them from a distance. Suddenly, Mizore comes flying in, warning everyone that To is a descendant of Negi, a notorious lady killer who romanced with all 30 of his students. Mizore attacks To, but he accidentally goes all out and throws her out the window. He catches her midair, showing a flash of the charisma he inherited from his grandfather. Mizore declares that To will be her groom-to-be, but he turns her down. He doesn't even know who she is. Meanwhile, Ayaka visits Hime, who is revealed to be one of her classmates, and they reminisce about old times. Later, Mizore, wearing a maid outfit she borrowed from Shinobu, brings To a huge home-cooked feast. Karin, Kuro, and Kiri observe them from afar, the latter two green with envy. Kiri initially believes that Mizore simply had her chefs do all the work, but when they see dozens of bandages on Mizore's fingers, they realize that she cooked it all herself. The earnestness of human girls is terrifying. Iku comes in and suggests that they take advantage of their base's hot springs, based on a rumor that a girl who scrubs a man's back 50 times will end up with him. Later, To and Iku take a dip in the hot springs. Karin notices that none of the girls have arrived yet, so she decides to test out the 50 scrub myth by washing To's back with a deck scrub. Kiri comes running in and tackles her out of the way, which signals the start of an all-out royal rumble to fulfill an arbitrary condition to become To's romantic partner. After an intense battle in the hot springs, Kuro carries To to safety, only for Mizore and Kiri to crash on the roof they're on, and their battle continues. To ends up having his back scrubbed 50 times by Hime, and when the girls see that nothing out of the ordinary happened, they realize that Iku was just messing with them the whole time. Later, Mizore gives Shinobu a band-aid as an apology for drop-kicking her off the roof. They reaffirm their mutual affection toward To, and the two become sworn rivals. Meanwhile, To meets with Hime, who is in her original form as Evangeline. She tells To that 20 years ago, Negi battled Aldabaoth, the mage of beginning, but wound up being possessed by her. Thus, the Negi they saw was not the true Negi. She then reveals another startling truth. To's parents did not die 2 years ago because they weren't his parents. To is a genetic clone, created using material collected from Negi. To relays this information to Kuro, but To is now left with more questions than answers. Mizore interrupts his pity party and invites him to Mahora fighting tournament. To and the others arrive at Mahor, where he is delighted to learn that he is eligible to enter the martial arts tournament, whose final round will be held at the top of the Pillar of Heaven. However, to his disappointment, participants are already selected beforehand, and he will only be able to join if someone fails to show. To doesn't lose heart, and he submits his name for next year's tournament. Later, he meets Ayaka, who introduces him to a sentient android, and Mana, the organizer of the Mahor tournament. Mana explains that she is also the current headmistress, and reveals to To that his grandfather was once a teacher here. Ayaka brings To to their old classroom. When they learn that To is troubled to be Negi's clone, they reassure him that if Negi were here, he'd relentlessly insist that To were his true grandson. They take turns hugging To, but Mana receives a call informing her that one of their participants has injured themselves and dropped out of the tournament. As luck would have it, she has the perfect replacement in mind. Later, To enters the arena to compete in the tournament, and his opponent is a familiar hooded man known only as Cutlass. To is the first to rush in, but he is given a nasty shock when Cutlass fights back with both sword and magic. Through their exchange of blades, To can tell that Cutlass is strong, and he feels lucky to be fighting him. Cutlass becomes agitated and calls To brother. Cutlass brutally overpowers To and cleaves him in two, and though his friends would love to help him, a powerful barrier envelops the entire arena, preventing them from entering. To's Maja Ireba kicks in, which Cutlass refers to as barbaric and unsightly. Despite this clear power-up, Cutlass just as easily defeats To with an array of anti-magic spears that pin him to the ground. Cutlass whispers into To's ear that he's nothing but a cheap copy of Negi. To reverts to his usual self and says that he isn't the copy, he's the upgrade. He is UQ holder number 7 To. He manages to land a hit on Cutlass, revealing him to be a girl. Suddenly, a familiar face descends on the arena. Negi, or rather, Alda, mage of beginning, possessing his body. Yalda again asks To to come with him so they can save the world, but To is inclined not to believe people who have tried to kill him. Alda explains that he has long been searching for him, but he remarks that Hime has sheltered him too much. Hime shatters Ielda's barrier and breaks into the arena, but she is quickly trapped by Nodoka and Yu, who are also former students of Negi. Jack, a large, greatsword-wielding man, nearly cleaves them in two, but Karen and Kuro finally make it into the arena, and Kiri throws To his sword. The greatest battle thus far is about to begin between Fate and the Yu key holders.